join in. And Tom, I do see Tammy. She's muted there. Glad everybody could join us today. We'd like to open with our invocation. Reverend Bluford, would you do us the honors, please?
Sure, let's pray. God, as we come together in a very unique way, we thank you for the privilege that we do have to connect. Mindful of all that's going on around us, we pray, God, that you'd continue to instill in us the opportunity to serve and give to those around us. Now provide for us, God, through the day's opportunities that we have to share in the gift of life and love one with another. Bless us in your service is our prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Paul Myers, I always like to put you on the spot. I'm going to switch this over to you and let you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Farragut Rotary. Great to see all of our friends and our guests once again. As a longstanding tradition in our club, we take a few moments and we try to share some good news or some good humor. Would anybody like to add anything in this segment of our meeting?
I'm going to jump in. I'll be the first.
Ed?
Yeah, with a little bit of good news, and I guess it's from whose perspective you look at this, but my wife and I on July 31st will be celebrating 44 years of marriage to each other.
Congratulations, Ed. That's awesome.
I'd like to add something.
Yes, sir.
Right at this moment, I'm expecting my first great-grandchild in Chicago. You know, when I was studying as a doctor, I didn't earn anything till I was 30 years old, but I got all my medical care free, hospital and everything. That's why I had so many children. When I trained at the University of Texas, I stayed in a building that was called Placental Paradise. Everyone was having children because everything was free. But anyway, I'm having my first great-grandchild right at the present time up in Chicago.
Well, congratulations. That's a great milestone that all of us strive to enjoy someday.
I think Dr. Fowler has joined us too.
So who was that, Tom? I'm sorry.
I said, I think Dr. Fowler has joined us from Carson Newman as well.
Oh, great. And we might have a few stragglers still jumping on.
I have a little bit of good news.
All right, Steve.
The Shop Farragut is able to pull off 2 events to get people out of their houses in the upcoming weeks here. February 8th is the first Farragut Health and Wellness Expo at the new community center. You'll have to wear your masks and socially distance, but we'll actually have a trade show you can go to. It's free from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. that Saturday. And then the following week, Doc Dogs returns for the 4th year, and out in the parking lot at Village Green Shopping Center, we'll have dogs from all over the country this year jumping into a swimming pool. It's actually been upgraded in the Doc Dogs world because the competition, the competitors, lost so many of their events in the springtime that we now have maxed out all the hours. We added 6 hours to the weekend to accommodate everybody. So if you wear your mask and you socially distance, you can get out and have some fun in Farragut. So that's
Steve,
my
what's the date of the health event?
The 8th, Saturday the 8th.
August the 8th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Dog Dogs is what weekend, Steve?
14, 15, 16.
Okay, great.
Friday night, we let local people try their expertise to jump in their dogs in the pool before the Saturday morning is when the competitors start. So.
Well, sounds like a lot of fun, Steve. We'll look forward to that.
Well, I can't congregate too many people at one time, but we can keep them moving, and it's outdoors and give some people something to do.
Anybody else with any other news or would like to take a shot at humor? I'll add a little bit of news. The governor has released high school football to be able to play with a set of rules and regulations regarding how the kids and coaches and spectators. So we're looking for, that's a big thing in our household right now is high school football. And I also know David Bluford was probably wondering what's going to happen as a referee for high school football. So I suspect there's a few of us that are excited about that. I think it's still up in the air exactly what SEC football is going to look like, but maybe fingers crossed it'll be some version of football that all of us can enjoy. But without any further news or humor, President Ed Jones, I'm going to hand it over to you.
I appreciate that. And once again, I'd certainly like to thank everybody for taking time out to join us today and help us to continue to carry on the Rotary tradition. I noticed that we have quite a lively discussion prior to the meeting. That's our socialization for this time. I've got a few announcements I'd like to pass on, some dates of interest. First is our PETS orientation. The PETS orientation and grant training will be on September 19th, and I know that coincides with our flu shot Saturday. There is an alternate date on October 17th as well. And of course, Reverend Bluford and Becky and your crew, as far as grants training, would definitely attend that activity. Secondly, our district governor is going to join us for a virtual meeting. That meeting will be on September 16th. We had earlier announced that it was going to be September 2nd, I think, but he checked his schedule and we've rescheduled that for September 16th. One other date of interest that we have is Purple Pinky Day. And we don't have that many new members, but for those that are unfamiliar with Purple Pinky Day, well, throughout the world, each time a Rotary volunteer vaccinates a child, their finger, pinky, is painted purple with a topical solution, gentian violet, to indicate that child has been vaccinated and of course won't go through the vaccination again. Well, our district has teamed with Dunkin' Donuts in East Tennessee, and the purpose of teaming with them is to raise money and awareness for Polio Plus. So that date is going to be on
yesterday. What that was Twitter Live. You saw the Democrats acting out what?
Hey, Dr. Pattison, if we could get you to hit your mute button,
anyway,
that would be helpful, sir.
Must take a brief break. There's much more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Purple Pinky Day is going to be on October 20th. October 20th. And as a reminder, one other thing, for those of you that are in attendance, we are still and hope to resolve this at our next board meeting, looking for a replacement for Vicki Esponge for our Sergeant at Arms position. I've gotten some suggestions from members. If anybody has an interest or can serve in that capacity, please don't hesitate to send me or contact me or anybody on the board for that matter to express an interest in that. At this time, I'd like to bring on our Treasurer Howard Fast. He's going to share a few things with us briefly. Howard.
Thank you, Ed. I just want to review how I bill invoices to the membership and go back to January in 2020, and that was the third quarter, January to March 2020. in every quarter, I would bill each member $234. It includes the dues and the meals, and $25 for Paul Harris, which is optional. So what happened in March is we didn't have the last two meetings of the quarter. So I mentioned to the membership that, you know, we owe you two meals. Well, about 6 weeks ago, I had a conference call with all the treasurers in the district. And basically, because I saw how much we're going to have to pay Rotary International, district dues and all that, I backed away from that, because who knows how much income we're going to have this year, you know. And we talked about the wine tasting. We can't pull that off, which is our number one. We're going to have limited income. So right now, due to the pandemic, I'm billing everybody basically just dues, $51, and Paul Harris, and 10 members, the Rotary International Polio Plus, which is $25, okay? So I bill based on each quarter, that's it, okay? Now, if we start having meals at Fox Den, that will change, okay? But I feel like it's gonna take a vaccine to get us back at Fox Den full time. So from each quarter, you should see a billing for $51 for dues, and Paul Harris for $25, and Rotary International Polio Plus for $25, and that's it. Is there any questions or anything? Also, I want to, so far this quarter, I got about 35 to 40% of the invoices paid. So we need the members who have not paid, please step up and forward me a check. That's it, Ed.
Okay, thank you, Howard. Moving right along, recently you should have received from me a survey of 3 questions. I'd just like to, for those of you who have completed that, I certainly appreciate you doing it, and would like to encourage others to complete that. We'd like to get as much feedback from the membership as possible, just to know what the membership is thinking, and also it'll assist us in planning how we're going to do things, or how we will attempt to do things moving forward. So if you haven't completed that survey, please do so. Moving right along, Mark Bialik, Flu Shot Saturday update, sir.
Yeah, this year we're going to be, instead of doing it at all 5 different schools, we're going to cut it down some. And because we're not going to be allowed in any of the schools, we're going to have to do all the shots outside by like drive-by shootings, like we've done in the past for people who have mobility issues. But this year, everybody's going to be in that situation. And Charlie has gotten all the vaccines, got the shots, has actually lined up some tents and stuff. But because of that, we're going to need a lot more help than normal for directing traffic, doing all this sort of things. So normally we have about 24 to 25 people show up and help. This year, we're going to need 30, 35 people. Almost constantly. So Tom, if you would you put this same note into the newsletter this month, this week, and have everybody that knows that they can volunteer, would you please send me an email and say, yes, I'll be able to volunteer, or, you know, if you can't, that'd be fine too. Just send me an email that way, just so I can start getting a head count. Because what Charlie is trying to do right now and working with the other presidents is make sure every site is fully staffed and we're rocking and rolling and getting these things done. As Ed and I have talked, this year would be a great year to have a flu shot, because if you have the flu and then get COVID, it could be the kiss of death. I hate to say it that way, but it's a possibility. And Leah, I see you on this thing. Could you get the Interacts interested in helping us out too, please? Anybody, if anybody's got any questions, you can either get on now and ask me a question, or you can send me an email or call me on my cell phone.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark, I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, last year, Walgreens was there giving the high dose.
They
Are we
will
gonna
not,
give them all?
they will be there this year.
So we're gonna do it all?
We're going to do it all, yes. Now they have the student nurses lined up also, just like the nurses will be given the shots. We'll just have to be the force behind the force, so to speak. So,
Mark. Hey, do you know if they're going to announce the way they're going to be distributing the shots in the paper, drive-by versus walk-in? Do you know if they're going to state that?
I'm going to be having a conversation with Charlie about that this week to make sure that they get that moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Mark, this is Jim O'Brien.
Yeah,
Will
Jim.
they be giving the high dose shots at all this year or not?
I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out and let you know.
Thank you.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
do you want me to have people email you directly if they can volunteer, or email me?
They can email me directly if they want.
Okay.
Mark, just a suggestion. We
Yeah.
may want to stop referring to it as drive-by shootings. I think some folks at least may be sensitive to that and not see the humor.
No. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I don't mean it in a negative way, as you all know, because we've been doing this for many, many years. And it was just a nickname we gave it. But it is where you drive up and get your shots, not a shooting.
No, I understand that.
Injections. How about
Do you
injections?
have a suggestion for replacing drive-by shooting?
Uh,
About drive-through
I'm just
injection?
curious.
How about in-car injections?
In
That'd
and out flu shot.
Drive-through, drive up, drive in.
Drive-through.
drive-through vaccinations.
It's not drive-by shootings, I guess is the point.
People can
Use
pay
their-
at one window and go up to the next window and get a shot.
Yes.
Is it 7 to 12 like last year?
Yes, it will be 7 to 12. Well, actually 8 to 12 is the actual time of it. But if we can get everything set up and there's a line, we will start as soon as everybody's ready to do it.
Will we be partnering with the News Sentinel's Empty Stocking Fund again?
Yes.
So we'll need solicitation out in the parking lot.
Yes, and probably more than one person, because what Charlie and I are discussing is trying to figure out how we can have like 4 lanes of traffic going through the parking lot.
Whoa.
For people to get and give.
Hey, I'll help you. Sign me up if there's a list floating around.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. And as we get closer and closer to the date, we will certainly keep everybody updated on the latest. And as Mark mentioned, certainly think that this is a very, very important activity, and as many people that can participate, it would greatly be appreciated.
Hey, Mark, would it be a good idea perhaps for our Rotarians to request that their spouses or teenage kids join them in this event, given that we're going to need a lot of people?
Definitely going to need a lot of young legs. So yes, anybody that still has, fortunately, I'm one of those I'm going to ask my wife and our empty nesters, but I know my wife wants to work it again this year. She's already expressed an interest in that. But if you have young kids that could help and you feel safe, you as a parent feel safe that your children will not, got to remember, we're going to have moving cars. So if you feel safe that your child can exhibit the right manners and stuff to make sure that they stay safe, then I would encourage any and all children to be involved.
Based on the age of the kids, that could be very dangerous.
Yes, I'm thinking probably 10 and up would probably be a safer level.
Okay. Thanks everyone for your input. We're going,
Arlene, it looks like you're trying to say something, but you're muted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
who's that?
I'm not muted now. I have a question for you, Mark. I do know when we went to go vote over by the town hall that they gave all their volunteers shields, even though they had masks. Is there any way that if we volunteer, can we get shields over our face that the Rotary could purchase?
I don't know if that's something Charlie's already got in his boxes of stuff, but I will ask. I don't know the answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Next, we'd like to hear from our family of Rotary News, Tom King.
Thanks, Ed. If you all have not seen the email this morning I sent out, Alex Barnwell sent me a text early this morning that his 3-month-old granddaughter died during the night at home. She simply stopped breathing during the night. And they live in Oak Ridge, and with all they've had trouble with their son Thomas and this too, they need your prayers, and he asked for that. And it's a tough time for them. They've got Philip is the father, Philip Barnwell. They have 2 other older children, 6 and 3. And this little baby was born May the 5th. And he just wants to have our thoughts, keep the family in our thoughts and prayers. And as we know more, I will let you know. I sent him Larry Click's cell phone number this morning as well. And just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Also, Chris Camp. Is Chris on the call today? Not sure. Haven't seen her. Chris got some bad news, and she's got a 3rd tumor in her liver. And that's not good news, but she's starting a new regimen of chemo and may end up doing radiation as well at some point. They are hassling with Medicare over that right now, is the last I heard. And she's keeping her spirit up, but it was tough news for her to take. Her pancreas at this time is free of cancer, so that's great news, but the liver's a tough thing to deal with as well. And I haven't talked to Betty Cisco since Sunday. She's been struggling a little bit. Julie, have you talked to her anymore? Is Julie still with us?
I'm here. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Julie.
Yeah, no, I actually talked to her for quite a while on Friday. I haven't talked to her since Friday. But I'll reach out and see if I can get a hold of her. She was going on and on about the wedding and telling funny stories from the wedding and stuff like that. So, you know, she always tries to put a positive front out there. You know that.
Yep. But when I talked to her Sunday, she told me her numbers were up.
Yeah.
And that's not good. And she just has no energy and is pretty much staying either in the bed or in her chair or whatever. But she said she needed no food right now. She's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep her in your prayers. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I know Judith Bradbury's with us today. Judith, how are things going at the Bradbury house?
We're hanging in. Phil had infusion treatment this week, so he's really tired, and so we're only just getting him up right now. But very good news. We received this morning that communication device that I'd spoken about, where it's similar to what Stephen Hawking had, where he blinks. I don't know how this technology works. It's absolutely miraculous. But he blinks and can speak that way. So it's going to take us a while to learn how to do it. As part of the program, they provide a technician who comes once a week to the house and will help us learn it. And then Phil should be able to talk a fair amount. So perhaps when we have a real live Rotary meeting, we'll have Phil give you a demonstration. It's an incredible technology.
Well, I knew that was a possibility. You had mentioned that to me, that it was hopefully coming soon.
Right.
So that's absolutely great news.
Yeah, it is. We heard on Monday, and then on yesterday, actually today, box arrived. So just before we started here. So that's just wonderful.
I'll be talking to you about that a little bit more for a newsletter article.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy. That's all I've got, President Ed.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. We're going to move right along. But I would like to, compliment Tom on an excellent newsletter. And it is an excellent source of communication, especially during these times. I think we have to look out not only for ourselves, but for each other, so that we can stay in touch. Please, at every opportunity that you get, please look at that newsletter. We'll be trying to communicate through emails, etc. But we want to keep everybody involved and engaged. Thank you so much. Right now, we'd like to move into our program, and we have, Tom, go ahead.
Let me mention one thing, not about Family of Rotary, but if you look on your homepage of our website, our webmaster guru, Scott Weinstein, on the upper right-hand column is an automatic click link into the Zoom program for everyone. And it says Zoom there. All you have to do is click on that and it takes you to the Zoom meeting. And you can see it right there. Scott just did a full screen mode on it. When that thing, there it is, Club Zoom meeting, and you see the circle there. All you have to do is click on that and it takes you to the link for the Zoom meeting. And that is that's a great thing that Scott did for us to make this an easier process. Thanks very much, Scott.
Thank you. Again, I echo that too, Scott. Great job with what you've been doing for us. Thank you so much. At this time, Reverend Bluefoot will introduce our guest for today.
Thank you, President Ed. It is certainly my honor and privilege to get to introduce our speaker, and I want to say thank you to him for his willingness on a late notice. Our speaker for today had to cancel, was unable to join us, and so last week I was able to get in touch with the president of Carson-Newman, Dr. Charles Fowler. I became aware of him last year. He started his presidency on July the 1st of 2019. So he's had quite an inaugural year of activity, getting into the college community and becoming acquainted there, and then having to deal with the end of his first school year with all that's gone on. He came to us from Germantown Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. Prior to that, he'd been at Union University on faculty and in administration there. One of the things that interested me when I became aware of Dr. Fowler was not only his background and some of the things that he likes to do, but it notes that he likes to ride his Harley Davidson. As most of you know, I ride one too, and I've been trying to connect with him since then to take him on some of the back roads in Jefferson County and around our East Tennessee area. He's been somewhat occupied the last year, I'm fairly certain of that. But I appreciate his willingness to come and share with us and be with us today to talk a little bit about my alma mater and about being in East Tennessee in his first year as president. So let's give a Rotary welcome virtually to Dr. Fowler as he comes to share with us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting and learning some East Tennessee back roads on our Harleys with you. So let's make that happen this fall. But I am so honored to have an opportunity just to speak with you for a few moments and share with you a little bit about what's going on at Carson-Newman and hopefully encourage you that there's a lot of good things happening even in the middle of this pandemic that's presenting challenges to all of us, unlike anything we ever expected. So, but I am grateful. I finished our first year let me start with the fall, and then I want to go back and talk for a few moments about some things that are guiding our decision making here. But we are planning to open in the fall. Our first day of class is scheduled for August the 19th. We have produced a document we're calling How Firm a Foundation that's going to guide all of the protocols that we're going to follow and encourage our students and faculty and staff to follow this fall, so that we have socially distanced classrooms and are providing us the flexibility to, I think it's wise to anticipate the possibility, at least, that we may have to move from online to in-person during the fall, given some of the dynamics with the pandemic. And so we're sort of going to operate under a hybrid arrangement where faculty will carry their same loads, but it'll be both online and in classroom. That's been a long months. We have been working on this plan over the summer, equipping faculty. As you may know about Carson-Newman, we're a small liberal arts university over in Jefferson City, and part of our distinctive is small class sizes and in-person attention from faculty, where the PhD prepared faculty teach every class that's taught here, and so it's important for us to get back together, and I'm grateful we're looking for that. And we're still waiting to see what all the athletic season looks like this fall. We keep pushing the start date back, and we'll see if there's going to be sports or not. Hopefully in the next few weeks we can get a better indication from the NCAA on what that might look like. So, but we're looking forward to a fall semester. I'll tell you a little bit about me and share a few things, and then we can take time for questions if you have any. Sort of the way I think over my career, I've been one that before I move into a new role, I tend to think and pray about that opportunity and spend a lot of time planning. And I will write a framework of how I would see decision making in that particular institution at that time, should I move into a new role, so that before I ever am offered a role, people know the values, the priorities that are going to guide my decision making. And I've done that consistently for 25 years or so. And so that was my pattern here. And I developed a leadership framework that now I call the 5 pillars of purpose for us. But it's what's going to drive my leadership and hopefully provide leadership to the entire institution. We provide bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. We've got about 28, this past year at least, we've had about 2,800 students, and we'll see this fall when I don't think it helps to count students until they've moved in the dorms and they've shown up for class. So by the end of the month, we'll know what enrollment looks like this fall. But the leadership framework that I put in place for us, and the trustees adopted in their call to me to assume this role, I just wanted to mention these 5 things for you. First of all, that we're going to be missionally directed. I think that Carson-Newman was established in 1851, and sometimes it's very easy for everyone to assume that mission is happening, but it's something that has to be assessed. I don't think any organization can establish effectiveness unless they view it through the lens of mission. You're only effective if you're to the degree that you're accomplishing your reason for existing. And so we're walking through a process here of reevaluating our mission and how that looks across the university. Secondly, we're going to be church focused. You may or may not know, but we're affiliated with the Tennessee Baptist Convention. It's in 1851, when Carson Newman was established, it was established by the churches, and they established us to serve the churches in the Appalachian region. And so we are committed to, Carson Newman thankfully has wonderful relationships with churches, but it's important for us to make sure that we continue strengthening those relationships across the years. And so we're going to try to bring even more intentionality to those relationships. And it reminds me, I have learned a lot. My wife and I are grateful to be East Tennesseans now. But if you know Carson Newman, you know Carson Newman on our seal is the word Appalachia. And it was established to serve this region as a priority. So my wife and I, we moved to East Tennessee. I was addressing our retirees at a luncheon last summer, and I referred to Appalachia as Appalachia. And I after the presentation, one of our retirees walked up and said, "Dr. Fowler, I'd like to help you for a little bit." Said, "You said Appalachia, and I want you to know that every time you say that, people know you're not from here." So she said, "You need to always think, I'm going to throw an apple at you, and if you think that, you'll pronounce it correctly." So now I know how to say Appalachia, and I've been consistently pronouncing it well. So I feel like, and I've come to find out that I'm from Mississippi originally, and I think I've discovered that these East Tennessee hillbillies and the North Mississippi rednecks are at least first cousins. And so my wife and I have really gotten connected and love being here. We're going to be missionally directed, church focused, confessionally defined. A lot of that is driven by just the culture that we're in. There's 1,000 different kinds of organizations who will describe themselves as Christian or have the word Christian in their names. And honestly, so many people use it in so many different ways that it's important that people understand what we mean when we say that we're a Christian university. And so we are going to be more intentional in helping people understand what we mean when we say that we are a Christian university. And what underpins that is our confession of faith, our statement of faith that will help provide some definition to that. So we're going to be missionally directed, church focused, confessionally defined, and innovatively driven, number 4. I really believe that the historic model that has driven higher education is not a sustainable model. The way colleges and universities generate more money is they raise tuition and add more fees. And there's a ceiling to that. You can price yourself out of a market. You can become inaccessible to the people that you're wanting to reach. And that is a limiting factor on your ability to fulfill your mission. So I appointed a group of East Tennessee business leaders, community leaders who have been working for almost a year now. And we're going to find ways, either through for-profit ventures or in other kinds of just new initiatives that can produce additional revenue so that over time we can reduce our dependence on tuition and can remain accessible and affordable for the Appalachian region. We're going to receive our trustees will receive the first report from that committee in October. And I look forward to seeing what ultimately is recommended out of that. But my expectation is that as they provide business plans and directions for things that we can do that helps anchor us here in our East Tennessee region, I pray that in the coming years we see those initiatives produce a lot of income that we can in turn put back in the institution. And not at some point it's going to be the first benchmark is going to be that first year that I can say that we're not going to raise tuition this year because we've created enough revenue in these other initiatives. But my hope is that we could actually in time see us reducing tuition as we are establishing these other initiatives. And finally, culture impacting. Our mission statement calls for us to produce servant leaders and educated citizens. And you only know if you're producing those kinds of graduates when you see the impact that they're having in their families, their churches, their communities. And I think that we are going to be assessing that to a greater degree and trying to ensure that when someone leaves here with a Carson Newman degree, and whether it's a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, that they're people that are going to, I like to use the word rainmakers, that they're going to be rainmakers when they leave. A rainmaker is somebody who blesses more than themselves. They produce blessings and good things in other people's lives. And I want our graduates to be those kind of people that when they go, and because they're servant leaders and educated citizens, that they're working in their communities and their churches, and they're working in such a way that they are blessing people more than just them and their family. It's a real community mindset. And so we're going to focus on those 5 things I've committed, and I've called them 5 pillars of purpose. And we're going to have very specific planning processes and resources and energy put behind helping us to ensure that those 5 pillars are directing the decision making here at Carson Newman. You know, pandemics, it's presented us all kinds of challenges, from technology to financial challenges and all kinds of things. But I'm committed that through all of this, that we're not going to park this pursuit, even in the challenges that coronavirus is presenting us. We are, our mission may look differently, but it's not going to change. And we're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other and trying to grow and expand the circle of influence that we have. And so that's sort of where we are, and the priorities that will guide our decision making as we're moving forward. And I just thought that might be a jumping off place for maybe a time of question and answer, if that would be appropriate for the last few minutes that we have together.
Are there any questions for Dr. Fowler?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Fowler, you mentioned athletics, and I know that's been a big part of Carson Newman, especially football. And I think you walked in with a retiring athletic director and then Ken Sparks. Has that been a challenge for you?
We have a brand new head coach, and this year a head football coach, Mike Clowney is his name. He actually played for Coach Sparks, later served on Coach Sparks' coaching staff. He left for a few years to go be a head coach. And then he returned, and Mike Turner was our head football coach, and he came back and joined the staff, the coaching staff under Coach Turner. So he has a great sense of who we have been, who we are, and but he's got some really fresh ideas. He's been an incredible recruiter. I hope we can have a season this year, because I think Carson Newman football team last year we made it. We were a top 25 team, and I hope this year, I think we have the opportunity to be even better with some of the incredible recruits that have come in. So I think athletics is doing well. Matt Pope is our athletics director. He's a great fit. He came to us from the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, and he is doing a great job, and I think we're positioned for some great success if we have the opportunity to get the season started this fall. Right now, our conference has made the decision that we're going to delay the start of all fall sports until September the 26th. But even in Division I, all three divisions of NCAA are really waiting for some direction that's going to come from the NCAA Board of Governors in the next 2 weeks. And I think though their decisions will help us determine whether or not there'll be fall sports.
Thank you very much.
Other questions?
Yeah, I got a couple questions about how you're going to handle the safety during students returning to class and to dormitories and all the rest. I don't know how many of your students are dormitory based, and obviously that's a risk factor. But more basic question, at UT, they are requiring all students and faculty and staff to get a flu shot, and in the event that there is a coronavirus vaccine, that will be required also. I was curious, are you guys going to do the same thing? Or are you going to require mandatory vaccines?
We have not made that decision until there's a vaccine available we're not mandating flu. We are recommending that. But I would imagine, my guess would be that if a vaccine became available, that we too would require that for our students. But not knowing if that's available this semester or spring semester, we're just decided to defer that decision until we were confronted with the opportunity.
And then one additional question, going back to the sports issue, do you anticipate fans in the stands and tailgating around the campus?
We are putting signage in our football stadium to accommodate the social distancing and the traffic patterns that have been recommended for us. We've worked with a consulting firm who has helped us to design how to direct fans if they're available. But, you know, so we've got the plans for fans. Obviously, without fans, it would be a much easier, but everything's sitting there waiting for some decisions on that regarding football. Currently, we're NCAA Division II. There are 23 conferences nationwide in Division II athletics. 10 of the 23 have already made the decision before the NCAA's instructions to defer all fall sports to the spring. So, and that's a growing trend across all three divisions of the NCAA, and you know, there's no way to predict what the Board of Governors is going to do. I think they have their next meeting. They met last Friday, and everyone was hoping for some instructions, and they ended up punting a little bit. And so hopefully week after next, they will provide some direction that can help us decide what we're going to do.
Dr. Fowler, you all follow up to that. Are you all requiring masks on campus by students and faculty?
We are. We have done, you know, we've put plexiglass screens on all the desks and places where students would be interacting with faculty and staff. We're requiring faculty and staff to all be in mask and social distancing. There's been some really neat equipment that's going to help us keep all of our hard surfaces disinfected throughout the days, and dorms and things. It's been a pretty expensive transition just to prepare to welcome students, faculty, and staff back, but we feel like that we've done everything we can do to prepare for that and to provide as safe an environment as possible. So we're working in that and direction, but yes, masks are part of it. We actually have had an app designed so that every faculty, staff, and student member will get a notification every morning, and they have to put in their temperature and answer some symptoms questions, and then that'll go into a database. So we'll know if a student shows up for classes and they haven't given their temperature. We're doing temperature checks on campus, symptoms checks at all the points where students travel, and so there's a lot of those kind of protocols. It's going to be frustrating for students, but we just don't feel that we can welcome students back to campus and not take those measures.
Thank you.
Have you defined any threshold points or decision points for when it would be necessary to shut down it face-to-face and go back to distance learning?
We have to a degree, but some of that has been done for us. It's a pretty low threshold, but if you have an infection rate, according to the Tennessee Department of Health, if you have an infection rate of 1% of the people who are, work in your complex or work and study on your campus, then the health department comes in and does an assessment to help look, and at that point, which that's a pretty low threshold. So on any given day, we would have maybe 1,800 students on campus. So, I mean, if we had 18 or 20 positive cases on our campus, at that point, the health department with the state for universities would step in, assess all of our protocols, and would then help make the decision, do you move everything online or what additional measures are necessary? And so that 1% infection rate, which is it's one of those things when you're looking at a campus like ours, you think, 2,800 students, but if you have 20 at any given time that are positive, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's the threshold where we stop and work with the state to make a determination.
Any other questions for Dr. Fowler? Okay, well, Dr. Fowler, we would certainly like to thank you for a very enlightening presentation, and would also like to thank you for producing or developing, rather I should say, future servant leaders for our community. We wish you good luck and continued success in your job. Everybody, a good virtual thank you for Dr. Fowler.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor, and I'm grateful to have been able to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fowler.
Thank you.
Moving right along, we're looking forward to next week's meeting, and that meeting is we will have our board meeting. And for information purposes, District Governor Ron Appoon will be in attendance at our board meeting. He will not be the speaker. He will be in attendance at our board meeting. September 16th is his club visit. And we will also have club assembly. Stay tuned into the newsletter for anything or arising or anything that might develop between now and then. That is the plan going forward. Reverend Bluefoot, if you want to give us a sneak peek of what might be down the road, feel free.
Sure. August, as you mentioned, August 5th is a club assembly. August 12th, the meeting is scheduled. The program speaker has a little bit of angst about doing a virtual meeting, so I'm trying to work with her to make sure that she's comfortable. So I won't announce that one. But on August the 19th, Bob Kissling is going to be with us. All of us know Bob, and hopefully by then he may be able to share a little bit more about where we are with the sports, and as he is the voice of the Tennessee Vols. And then on August the 26th is Pam Neal. She's on the staff at First Baptist Church in Knoxville, but she's going to be speaking with us. She's also the coordinator for police chaplaincy in Knoxville, and also president of the Association of Police Chaplains in the United States. And so we look forward to having her come and share with us on the 26th.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate that. Is there any further business or anything that anybody would like to share before we close out? If not, please share, repeat with me, please, the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it the truth?
Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it
build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth,
will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Farragut Rotarians, for joining us today. Come back, pass the word. We'd like to build the attendance. Have a great week and a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Have a good one, everybody.